Welcome to a new session of TYP Art Live Chat. So today I have Elisabeth of Zabé Arts joining us from Los Angeles. So Elisabeth, or Elisabeth as we will call you with the French accent, how are you today? Where are you now?
I'm in Los Angeles, as you said, and I'm in my studio. As you can see behind me,
yeah,
a few of my paintings and my stuff. That's the place where I work.
Wow, great. Yeah, I can see your signature portraits just behind you with plenty of colors and also very sensual female faces. So how long have you been working as a full-time artist?
I would say 2 years. 2 years now. Before that, I moved to Los Angeles 4 years ago now. And before that, I was living in Paris, where I used to have a corporate career in marketing and consulting. So more of my right brain, let's say. And 4 years ago, we moved in Los Angeles, and I think it was the opportunity for me to make the artist in me blossom. I have always been painting and drawing, but this experience was really the opportunity to give it more time and devote myself to what I like most of all, painting.
That's very courageous of you. I guess that's a huge change from corporate life, because I also worked for companies, for a very long time, and on the same time there's the art, which is completely different, so creative, full of feelings. Works in a very different way. So yeah, actually I find it's very interesting that you focus on portraits now, because I looked through all the content on your Instagram account, Zabé Arts, as well as on your website. At the same time, you also practice like landscape paintings, sketches. But why do you choose portrait painting, as your signature or the main focus for your art career now?
That's a good question. As you said, I like to try new things, and I ventured in some other areas like landscapes and abstract, but really what makes me happy is to paint faces. And I thought about that question because it's always hard, to rationalize what you do with your heart, with your intuition.
And, I know, yeah.
I like eyes. I think that's the main thing. I like eyes. I like the way you can see in a glance or in a look an emotion, and that's what I do when painting faces. I really relate to the people I'm painting, and I feel I can translate emotions, and I believe that if I have emotions painting them, the viewers will have maybe other emotions, but when you see a face, you have an emotion, and that's really what I like doing, faces.
Yeah, wow, that's interesting. Yeah, I can relate to what you said, because I think usually, when we see people, as they always say, the eyes are the windows to the soul. And indeed, when I look at the portraits that you made, I know that you painted some famous, female figures such as Coco Chanel, or Ruth Ginsburg, really, a great woman in the history. But I particularly like is a portrait called Charlotte. I don't know who she is, but it's just like someone that I know, there's the resemblance, and that really touches me profoundly. It's different feeling when I look at those famous figures, that I look up more like model. So I wonder, who is this Charlotte? Is a real person, or it's the impression that you got from life, and then it's sort of like a fictional person that exists in your art world, in your mind?
Actually, I paint a lot of different faces. Some of them are famous, others are more anonymous, and but usually I have a reference picture that helps me. As you said, Marilyn Monroe or RBG. Coco Chanel are obviously famous people, and you can you see them. They are like so well known, and
Yeah.
these ones were part of my Strong Women series, where I wanted to depict women who have been in different areas, have been changing their world and the world and their environment. So these are the famous people I painted, and sometimes just like I feel I want to express what I feel and what I know about them.
Your admiration, maybe, or how they inspired you.
Exactly. And this series will never be done because there are always people that inspire me all the time. Charlotte is it's different and not that different because it's you don't know who she is. You didn't find
Charlotte Gainsbourg, or but
actually these I use a picture of Charlotte Casiraghi, who is the daughter of the Princess of Monaco, Caroline, and that's her look. It's hard to tell because it's a close-up, so you don't see any environment.
I have no clue. I have no clue, and I did not see at all. You know, like a royal, a praying princess, or no. It's that's interesting. Yeah.
And what I liked in that painting in particular was the look she had. It was very deep, profound, yeah. And I could really, when I look at her, I get lost in her eyes, and so she's famous, but you cannot tell, I guess. Except if you know, and I've just told you.
Now I'm gonna go back, and because I usually see her photos, you know, in those fashion blogs, like how the royal outfits. But now I'm gonna go back and look at that. But indeed, it's really like the emotion or the look in her eyes. Actually, speaking of eyes, what strikes me is, you know, in the past 3 years through the pandemic, as we've been wearing masks, I realized that I paid much more attention to people's eyes because that's what you can see only outside. And it's so different when a stranger took off the mask and you feel what you see in their eyes, you know, purely is different when you see the entire face. But that's you know, so magic, I find, when you look at the eyes, the energy, the inspiration, or the feeling that you can get is very different when you look at the person, probably the entire face. But I don't know if you have any similar feelings, or yeah, that's something to share from my part. And I also noticed, actually, you mainly painted female portraits. I believe I only see the portraits of your grandfather, but is there a reason, you know, that?
Not really. That's a very good question. I have a few ones. I painted that old man that I call Orak, which is a guy from the desert with a hat and beautiful wrinkles. And but actually, you know, I'm driven by the emotions I see when I look at a face, and for whatever reason, it has been mostly women lately, but when I see a male face that I like, I do it. I did my grandpa, indeed, and did this one I talked to you about, and I think there are 3 or 4, not as much as female faces.
Okay. And what I like, I think, will make your portraits more special is also the college background. Because at the beginning, when I just look at the photos on Instagram or your website, I was not aware that they are collage. I thought that you painted the colors and then you draw, you know, the eyes, the features. But then I realized actually they are different collage, because in one of the video that you showed how you created your artworks. And I recommend to our audience, because it's really interesting to see a real creative processes. And I just wonder, how does it comes to you, you know, doing collage together with drawing, painting? And I know when you're in France for holiday, you bought a lot of interesting tissues there's the playful side, sort of like children, you know, doing those handcrafts. So where does that comes from?
Actually, it's a funny story. I think I have always liked papers. I have this, I don't know, inexplicable love for papers. I like the touch of it. I like the thickness,
Yeah,
the different opacities, the patterns, the colors.
the pattern. Yeah,
And it has always been part of what I liked. I think that back in time, I didn't know what I would do with that, but everything happens for a reason. So at some point, everything made sense. And when I was little, my parents had a friend who was working in a wallpaper company. And from time to time, he used to give me catalogs of samples, you know, like the book with samples of wallpapers. And I was building boxes out of them. And that's the starting point of my love for papers. And since then, I have accumulated so many papers, different ones, and decorative ones, magazines, tissue papers. Like I cannot tell you how many papers I have. And
you have a whole collection of different kind of papers. You collect paper.
Yeah, but just like at some point I was just keeping them without knowing what to do with them, just because I like them.
Yeah.
And when I had more time and started exploring different things, one day I wanted to find a way to do an interesting background for painting. And I just didn't know what to do. Like, you know, that's not my thing, to do abstract things. And I was how I'm going to paint the background. And then I remembered I had all those papers. So I started collaging them, like, you know, it was like paint. I assembled them and I superimposed them. And I realized it was giving new colors, new patterns, new shapes. And I thought it was very interesting. And so I started doing those, you know, abstract collages that were the basis for my painting. And then when I paint on them, it creates other patterns, other colors, other and interesting things in the painting that I couldn't get without having those papers, because I don't know what it's going to be at the end. Like I collage them randomly. I choose the colors. But I collage them randomly. And then when I paint, it's just like whatever is on the canvas appears or disappear according to what I paint. And that's how it all started.
Wow, it sounds quite magic. It's really, so when you prepare the background for a portrait, do you usually know already what kind of phase you're going to paint on that? Or you would also actually, based on, you know, the result of the collage that you had done, the different patterns, the color association, and maybe they also give you some feedback or impulse to, you know, upon the phase that you're going to paint? Or
I'd like to tell you that I have a very precise and organized process to do that. It depends, actually. Sometimes I know I have this face I want to paint, and I look at it. I have some colors and some, you know, kind of a universe that stands out, and I choose the papers according to that. But sometimes I just want to paint, and I don't know what I'm going to paint, but I want to collage. So I start, and then I choose colors. Usually it's influenced by my environment, the places I go to, a lot of things. And I start the collage, and then I find the face. So it's really different. If you take Marilyn, which is the one you put on the invitation, obviously I knew I would paint her, so I chose the color accordingly. But the one you see behind, I just started collaging, and then I painting after that. But I didn't know what I would do.
Okay, yeah, so it depends on various, sorry for pushing you a bit into this direction. Obviously, I think we're both from the corporate background, and we sort of trained, you know, always to do things in a systematical way, with a plan, with a lot of rationalization. But actually, that's my finding when I explore the art world or the art history. Some artists, they were indeed, very imposed, but I think the major part, the majority of the grandmasters actually painting or sculpting, arting for them is a very intellectual phases. Actually, it's a whole intellectual process. There are a lot of planning, a lot of experimentation, not just, take your brush and do it. So it's interesting also to hear that from you as your practice. And speaking of emotions, you said also, the result depend on what you see, what you live through. I know you're also mother and of young children. So I guess you're juggling your day between very different things, house chores, play with children, and then art, and how that affect, your art creation. Does it reflect in your working, or you try to keep the distance with the daily life?
I think that, like in any job, you have to make time for what you have to do, and that it's not because it's art that it's different from the job. What I find maybe more difficult compared to my corporate life is that often everything seems more urgent than doing art. And then as I need a few hours ahead to paint and get immersed in what I'm doing,
yeah,
it's harder to find like 3-4 hours in a row to be really into what I'm doing. Because when I have 10 minutes, obviously I cannot do anything. So I'm still learning, how to find the best way to do that. Sometimes when I don't have time, I focus on other things, like updating my website, doing social media, like things I know I don't need that concentration or that much time. And yeah, so I try to keep 3 to 4 hours in a row, which is not always easy to do that. And then when I don't have them, I do other things.
Okay. So again, there's planning, but at least you need those time, fully to yourself without disturbance, and so that you can focus and get your art creations out. Wow. And and my last question actually is, I know that many things happened to your life in the past 3-4 years. Moving from Paris to Los Angeles, which is completely different, and changing your role. From a marketing executive to an artist. Do you miss your life before in Paris, or no regret? I mean, of course, we always look forward, but how do you think this French part, because I love your French accent, and that impact your art? And at the same time, it's true that when I see the portraits, the works you create, it really reminds me of California, full of colors and so happy. And I think that's the vibes that you want to bring to people. But is there any element from France, from Paris, or from the Havre that's you embedded into into your portraits?
I'm gonna give you a Norman answer, like
Yeah.
means that you say yes or no. I love Paris, and I will always love Paris, but I like being here too. I feel like I can be well in any place as long as I find my sweet spot. And when I go back to Paris, I'm super happy, and it feeds me a lot because I see my friends, I see my family. I love the places, and I love France. And but when I'm here, I like the light, I like my life here, I like the environment, I like everything about it. And here, California has been the opportunity for me to paint and to live a life as an artist, which I do, or which I didn't allow myself to do in Paris. Sorry, it froze. And so I think it's a mix of all of that. And I cannot tell you which part influences my work, but I think all of it. I'm from Paris. I'm from Normandy. I'm a little bit from here now, and
Yeah, indeed.
I believe I told you that before, but I believe everything happens for a reason, and that what I do now is the result of everything that has happened before. So if I had not done everything before, like my corporate career, my life in Paris, maybe I wouldn't be here today. So it's just like the way it is, and I take everything and I try to translate it into my art with all the influences I have from everywhere, I guess.
I love your motto, like everything happens for a reason, and that's lead to where you are today. And I think that's why also, you know, that your portraits speak to everyone, whether women or men, no matter where we are, you know, French or American or from Asia, they are so beautiful. And I really love the color and the energy from that. To be honest, it's a cloudy day here in Paris, but when I again look at your account and see those colors, it's like, oh, it just light me heart up. And that's what I really love, I think, with artists, you know, sharing your emotions, sharing your feelings, and make us feel, you know, we really in a society and we all live together, no matter where you are. So thank you so much for joining me today, Elisabeth. And
Thank you for having me.
And it's I look forward to your next, your upcoming portraits, and I'm very curious. Yeah. So who is she? What do you already have a name for it, or it's still in progress?
No, I don't have a name, and actually, I'm going to turn it a little, but there are two.
Oh, now I can see it. Yeah, entirely. Yeah.
And just to give you a little preview, obviously a visual preview, but for
you have not finished it yet.
Sorry,
you have not finished it yet.
No, I've got a few things to finish, but what influenced me or what motivated me when I started it was I wanted to think about friendship, and that's what drove me, and I had this
and that's the word actually I had in my mind when I look at the full painting. I sort of sisterhood. So yeah, that's what I.
The viewer, you know, that's the beauty of art. Everyone sees different things, and it's friendship. For me, it's friendship, but it can be like sisterhood. It could be twins.
Yeah, but I mean sisterhood in a larger sense. So, well, I look forward to see the finished work, and that's going to be very exciting. And thanks everyone for joining today's live. Please go to visit Zabé Arts on Instagram, as well as Zabé Arts on the website of Elisabeth. And thank you, Elisabeth. Thanks everyone. See you next time.
And have a good day. Have a good end of the day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.